Can You See Your Mind Now? Is a dialogue between Acharya Daniel Hesse and Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche. Acharya Hesse has been a student of Shambhala Buddhism since 1971 and has taught extensively throughout the U.S. and South America. Since 2004, he has studied the I Ching with Eva Wong, a Taoist Qigong lineage holder and translator of classical Chinese texts. Dan is also a former director of Shambhala Mountain Center. Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche, born in 1965 in northeast India, was trained in the meditative and intellectual disciplines of Indian and Tibetan Buddhism under the guidance of many of the greatest masters from Tibet's pre-exiled generation. He is a widely celebrated teacher, known for his skill in making the full richness of Buddhist wisdom accessible to modern minds, and devotes much of his energy to developing a vision of a genuine Western Buddhism.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Dan Hesse, and I'm coming from Shambhala Mountain Center, hosting Awaken the World, and today we're honored to have with us Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche, who's one of the leading Buddhist teachers in North America and a holder of the Nyingma and Kagyu schools of Tibetan Buddhism and a tremendous advocate of Western or American Buddhism. Rinpoche, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's an honor. So in your life, you've really bridged the traditional Tibetan Buddhist teachings and how they're being practiced in the West. What has that been like? What has that journey been like for you?
Well, in general, the fundamental principle of Dhamma, or the Buddhist teaching that we practice in the East and what we practice now in the West are the same. I don't think there's any difference in the fundamental principle. But the way we practice and in what context, what cultural context we practice is slightly different.
Yes, indeed. The title of our
yes.
The title of our topic is Envisioning an Awakened World. And one of the things I was curious about is when we speak about awake in Buddhism, what do we mean by awake?
Lots of coffee.
I thought that was being in graduate school. That was that kind
of. Go to Starbucks. Since I live in Seattle, I have to advocate for our small coffee shop.
Maybe we should have a special Buddhist coffee shop where we can serve awake dust coffee.
Yeah, it's called Starbucks. Well, just kidding. But, well, you know, there are a lot of things we can say about this thing. But in the essence, being awake in everyday life simply means that we are fully present in the moment, in this very moment. You know, if you're completely present, fully present in this moment, then that is an experience of wakefulness.
Wow. So how is it that we find ourselves not in the present moment? It seems like, I mean, obviously we all feel that we're not in the present moment, but how do we get lost that way? What are the forces that make us not experience the present moment?
Well, there are a few factors, one of which is our habitual pattern. You know, we have a very strong habitual pattern of excuse me, of living our moments in the past or in the future, you know, but we are never here in this moment. And we are always distracted and lost in some kind of thought processes and emotional experiences of the past, or we are lost in the thought processes of planning for the future and living some kind of like, daydreaming sometimes, daydreaming life of the future, But we're never here in the present usually. And so, therefore, we always miss this moment. Next time, the next moment when we wake up, we realize the same thing. Oh, darn, I missed that last moment. When you say that, then you are not in this moment because you're in the last moment.
Say,
But you lost it again. And then you say, oh, I want to be in this moment in the future. Then you're not here because you're lost again.
So how do we train ourselves to be in this present moment?
Well,
I know that's a big topic, but we're exploring this in these talks because people have a lot of yearning to connect to their lives more deeply in their daily life. Some people have meditation practices. Some people have an aspiration that they'd like to have a more heartfelt relationship with their life.
Basically, we need to transform our habitual pattern. We need to transform our usual kind of routine life, or living style, which is like what do you call that in English? We are a creature of habits, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Habitual patterns, yeah.
Yeah, we live in certain element of our habitual routine. And we need to find a way to break that. We need to find a way to break that and bring in a new light of experience, bring in a new possibility of experience that we can explore. So that can be done through meditation, mindfulness, and any practices. There are so many practices of different world wisdom traditions.
So many world wisdom traditions have understood this same problem and have different tools they bring to help people to connect more deeply with the present moment.
I'm not sure if I can say that we all understand and agree on the same point here, but it seems like there's a lot of tools that are helpful to bring our mind to the present. Such as, for example, when you do yoga, hatha yoga, it helps our mind to come back in the present and helps our mind to relax and helps our mind to be present with your bodily sensations and movements, which is very similar to in the Buddhist tradition of meditation, which is known as the mindfulness of body. Right? Yeah, so there's so many different techniques, for example.
Yes, that's interesting. One of the things I feel when I'm driving to work in the morning and I'm stopping at Starbucks, I stop every morning in my habitual way, and I realize that when I read the newspaper or I look at the guy in the corner who's asking for money, there's a lot of things that are frightening, quite frankly, or very saddening. That that you think, well, I want to just keep in my little familiar world, because if I open up to everything I'm seeing, I'm not sure how to handle that. So how do you encourage yourself in terms of being brave that way to get out of your little habitual world and meet a bigger world where there might be a lot of challenges?
Well, I think first of all we need to ask ourselves that, do we want to live in this kind of routine, habitual life? Starbucks, newspaper, work, and sleep, and so forth? Or do you want to explore something new? I don't mean necessarily exploring something outside, but first of all, exploring our minds.
Aha.
Exploring the new territory of our mind, our experiences, our fear, our hope, our dream, and our ignorance, our emotions. It's so beautiful. Mind is so beautiful, and it's full of characters. It's like watching a great TV show, like True Detective.
Ah. So actually, working with your mind you're presenting it as an adventure, as something that's actually really interesting, as opposed to being bored. I'm just sitting here, nothing's happening. But actually, you're presenting it as a really fascinating thing to do.
Exactly. It's just like exploring a new continent,
Ah.
exploring a new place. Like you don't know what's there. And if you just stay in your old town with the same old oppression and depression and whatnot, then you never know the new territory, right? New continent, the new world, the new freedom. And so you need to explore that. You need to be a little brave and move a step out of your usual comfort zone, and be a little bit more adventurous. And, those are the guys who can actually find the real sort of freedom.
So there's a paradox here you've presented us, that the present moment is really a tiny thing, and this mind is a very big thing. How do they fit together?
It's like many moments, when our mind puts all these moments together, it's a big world. It's
Yes.
a big world of our mind.
Huh.
But when you really look at it, it's just this moment. In this moment, whatever we experience, in this moment, there's so much to it. Just for this tiny moment. I mean, just within this tiny moment, there's so much, There's so much richness, and there's so much adventure. There's so much fun. There's so much hope, and there's so much fear. It's beautiful.
So it's a worthwhile journey then.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You'll be surprised.
I should try
I'm
it.
talking about you, of course, Dan,
But I was just thinking, would you be willing to guided meditation so people can just sort of put their toe into this experience, in the sense of, if I'm a person who hasn't meditated before and I'm interested in saying, well, what would it be like to bring myself through mindfulness or whatever technique into the present moment? Would you guide us briefly so that we can actually taste that feeling?
Guided meditation?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's important for you to find a comfortable posture. If possible, you sit upright, straight back, and it doesn't matter if your legs are crossed or not. If you're sitting on the chair, that's fine. But just relax in this comfortable posture, and then take a deep breath. And be with this breath right now. And the most important thing here is relaxing. Relax your mind within this awareness of breath. Inhale, exhale. Be aware when you breathe in. Relax when you breathe out. Do you see your mind now?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah.
What occurred to me is that it's not actually that long a journey to the present moment. It's not like it, that anyone can make that journey.
Yes, meditation. A lot of people misunderstand, including myself in the beginning, that we think that we have to rest our mind in calmness and peace for a long time,
Yeah.
That's not what it is. And meditation is simply familiarizing ourselves with our mind and its basic nature from moment to moment, being aware of our mind in each moment, Just trying that is what we call meditation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's
There's
just
no such thing as long resting, I think.
no.
In reality, there's no long resting because there's no long moment.
Yes, indeed. How would you do that, right?
Yes, exactly. That would be a miracle.
So, how is meditation? You might say therapeutic, or how does it help you in your life? It's
Meditation?
learning to rest moment by moment. How is that helpful in a person's life who's meeting his or her world day by day?
It doesn't.
It doesn't help.
Just kidding.
I was scared for a second. I thought, oh.
No, it's very helpful because it makes ourselves more familiar with our own mind's habitual pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It makes ourselves to understand our mind more clearly. And so through this insight, we can relate with others more precisely,
Aha.
more calmly. And so this awareness of meditation can help us to be aware of everything that is happening in our life, And so we can be more aware when our partner needs some help.
Yes.
We can be more aware when our child or children needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
So we can be aware when there's someone on the street needs help, So we won't be all like absorbed in our own head of egotism and emotions and so forth and so on, and be blinded by all these things that's going on and on and on in our head, so that we miss the whole moment. Are you still there, Dan?
Rimshay, that was a
No.
exciting experience on my end. As you were speaking, our connection was broken,
Uh-huh.
and I had to go to another room and find a new connection. And I was thinking that that's such a common experience in modern day life, that you're deeply engaged in something and then your attention is changed. How do you stay present when all of a sudden what you thought you were doing isn't what you're doing anymore?
Wow. That's something very profound. No, I think it's important to have a um, sense of openness for change. You know,
Ah,
when we don't have any sense of openness for change, then it brings suffering,
yes.
and change is inevitable.
Change is inevitable. There's no way to control change.
Well, maybe you can do small things to control small stuff, but fundamental change is something we can't control.
Yes, indeed. Hmm. So I suppose that takes some courage as well, doesn't it, to be able to open up to all that uncertainty in your life.
Yes, absolutely.
Hmm. Hmm. So I wonder if we could talk a little bit about the challenges of being a meditator or someone who's motivated to be present in their life in the modern world, and how these very ancient traditions that are coming into the modern world actually meet, what's that interface like where traditions that the Buddha actually began 2,500 years
Mhm,
ago are now but being
mhm.
practiced by people on airplanes.
That's right. Well, I think, as I was telling you earlier, that the environment and the conditions may be different and have changed in some ways, you know. Uh, but the fundamentals of our challenge with our mind, and it's like a monkey mind, so to speak, it's about the same.
Aha.
It's not, you know, the ego is ego no matter what generation you live in,
Yes, yes, indeed.
or the anger or jealousy, you
Hmm.
know, maybe in certain century your anger may manifest with a knife and swords and so forth, spears, and right now it's with AK-47.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
exactly.
anger. Its mind challenge is the same, you know.
So
It's
that's
only a slight change of environment and tools or what have you, but challenges our mind the same, and that's what the Buddha's teaching is. If you can control and change your mind, then
hmm
it doesn't matter, you know.
aha.
Doesn't matter. Everything is workable and beautiful.
So that would be a wonderful way to for us to wrap up in terms of could you offer a contemplation or a heart question we've been saying that would help people look into this question of how mind is at the heart of experience as opposed to circumstances. In other words, if I heard you right, you said the mind is the same. The mind is the real issue in terms of our happiness and how we are in the world. And the circumstances change, and you can't stop that change. So, is there a way that people listening to this particular broadcast could bring that question or that inquiry into their life?
Absolutely, And the question here is whether we want to know our own mind or not.
Ah,
Do you want to know your own mind? Do you want to free your mind? If you do, the first step is you have to know your mind.
Mm-hmm. That's
And, without knowing our mind and without having a sense of a sense of familiarity and a control, then you will face challenge with every environment.
mm-hmm.
And any time it's the same thing. It's the same like in relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If we cannot work with our mind, and it's negative habits or challenges, and if we blame it on our partner,
Mm-hmm.
and then change the partner, a new partner, it might work for a few weeks, and then the same old habits come back, same old thing happens, and then
Yes.
the new one, and
Yes,
so it doesn't
indeed.
matter whether meditator lives in the century and the time of the Buddha or now after over 2,500 years. It's the same thing. We're working with our mind, and the techniques are to work with our mind.
Yes. Rinpoche, it's been truly an honor to have you join us with Shambhala Mountain Center's Awaken the World program. And I feel it's been a very experiential and precious opportunity to study with you, and we appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. And I miss our connection. We haven't connected for a long time. And I remember our time in Bhutan and in the U.S. and Colorado. So it's really nice to connect again. And thank you so much for your wonderful work. And thank you, Shambhala Mountain Center, for providing this for everyone.
It's a great joy to see you. And now that we have this wonderful tool where we can speak at a distance, we can create a bigger community of people who
Yes.
are opening up to the present moment, their mind in the present moment. Thank you again, Rinpoche, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, and enjoy your Starbucks.
Good morning. Thank you.
To learn more about Daniel Hesse and his work, please visit facebook.com/I Ching and Society. To learn more about Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche, please visit his website, dpr.info.